Good afternoon, everyone. In the virtual talk show, this time I will be accompanied Mr. Anies Baswedan. He is an Indonesian academic, activist, and of course, he served as Governor of Jakarta. I'm Cinta Laura, and this time I will discuss impact of pandemic to education and the solution with Mr. Anies. As we know in the past that there are now many losses experienced in Indonesia, one of them in the field of education. So on this occasion, I will talk about this with the Governor of Jakarta, who as well as an Indonesian academic. Okay, we are waiting for Mr. Anies to join. Okay, wait a minute. Well, Mr. Anies has joined. Good afternoon, Mr. Anies. How are you? Hello, Mr. Anies. Are you there? Welcome, Mr. Anies. Are you there?
Hello? Can you hear my voice?
Yes, sir. Welcome, Mr. Anies. How are you?
I'm sorry, I think we have a really bad connection right now because your video is kind of lag.
Can you hear my voice?
Can you repeat again what you're saying precisely?
Hello?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Welcome, Mr. Anies. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine and I'm in really good condition, of course. And how about you, Cinta?
I'm also in a good condition and I was very happy and excited because I have the opportunity to talk with an activist and the governor of Jakarta, of course. Wow, this is an extraordinary opportunity and I will not waste it because people must know that you are a busy person, right, sir? I'm very excited today.
You are overreacting, Cinta. But indeed, I have been busy lately, so I cannot attend some event. I can only attend to talk show online with you today.
No problem, sir. Precisely with the presence of you become a guest star on my talk show this time, it was an honor for me.
Okay, Cinta. I'm also happy to be a guest star on your talk show this time.
So this time we will talk about education, more precisely analyze the impact of the pandemic to education. How do you respond to this, sir?
Uh, yes, as we know, the COVID-19 pandemic has occurred in Indonesia in field of education, especially all students are required to adopt the online class, which is they have never done that before. So you can say that the virtual learning process is like it or not. This must be continued to be carried out in order to reduce the transmission of the COVID-19 virus in Indonesia. Actually, I also feel that when the pandemic first appeared, the students become less active in education because the learning process was carried virtually and less responsible and critical. And maybe that's the one of the effect of pandemic on education, Cinta. But precisely, the students were so active and cheerful before the pandemic like now.
It's really, sir. It is a challenge for the teacher in the present because all students are required to be willing to undergo school virtually, but maybe there are some students who actually become lazy and sleep when the class takes place. Sir. How do you respond to this?
Yes, I also often see that on social media, and there are many incidents of the students sleeping during the class. Even though this should not happen, as a student, you should still be enthusiastic about learning even though you are online. So there is no such thing as a fall asleep during the class. But the role of the teacher is necessarily in such situation because the student will not easily fall asleep. If the teacher has a way to make the learning process is more interesting and fun, the teacher's role is sharpened this time. And so the solution may be the teacher should think about what things that can make learning online is more interesting and makes the student more comfortable.
I see, sir. So the teacher's role is really needed, right? As much as possible, the teacher is more interactive with the students and thinks of ways so that learning is not boring. Then what is your opinion about the students who have limited internet connection, sir? Because there are many cases students work very far from home to get a good internet connection.
Uh, if that is a problem, many of them are volunteer teachers who are willing to go around each student house whose the internet connection is not adequate, so that a certain time for a certain time student to study. When the teacher arrives at his house, the learning is carried out directly between two parties. There are also other ways, including gathering students with inadequate internet connection in one place. Then, the teacher teaching at once. However, health protocols are still being implemented, of course, because the way you can avoid the spread of the virus.
Oh wow! I just found out, sir. I was jealous because the teachers in Indonesia turned out to be very concerned about their students.
Yes, the teacher in Indonesia are very extraordinary, Cinta. I also appreciate those who make such a sacrifice for their student education.
Mm, yes, sir. And reportedly, there are a lot of disturbance during class, sir, because each student's house is different. So there are some who are busy at home, so they often make noisy during class. And learning activities are also a challenge for the teacher because not a few students turn off their camera during class. So the teacher seems to be talking to himself because of the lack of response from the students. What do you think about this, sir?
Of course, not all the halls are quiet. So if there is noise during the class, maybe students should turn off the microphone during a virtual class. Then, to solve the problem of many students turning off the camera during the virtual class, maybe return to the teacher firmly, enforce the rules that during the class, student must be on camera so that the learning become more effective. And as much as possible, the student must also take an initiative so that the teacher does not have to continue the chapter, and student that must to turn on the camera. And of course, the teacher also play an important role in providing confirmed. As I said, the teacher must also have a way so that the learning is not boring.
Yes, sir. There must be an awareness from the student themselves that when the class takes place, it must always be on camera so that the class takes place effectively. Those of you who are watching the stock show this time must to take the initiative to be excited and always pay attention when in virtual class, and don't forget to always be on camera, of course.
Then for a small thing, such as signal inferences during the class, maybe the student can ask to the teacher for permission first, so that the teacher know the reason why the student turn off their camera.
Yes, sir, that advice is very useful when online class are in progress. And then I also want to ask you about how students who are less able to buy tools to carry out online class, such as handphone, laptops, and other, how do you respond to the problem?
For that problem, the solution that I can give for a student must confirm to the school that the student does not have tools for online classes, and the school must to ensure that the student is really not be able to buy the tools for implementation of online classes, so that the target is not wrong and is not misused by unscrupulous student, because later, after the student tells about it and the school ensure it, the school can apply to the Ministry of Education to get help for unprivileged students, so that later the student can be assisted by the government to meet the needs of online classes.
That is a very good problem solving, sir. But is it effective if it is applied in schools in Indonesia? Because as we know that the assistance provided by the Ministry of Education is not a small thing.
If it's a question, go back to the school. We will monitor whether there are any progress from the result of assistance we have provided. And so later, the assistance is not in vain.
Oh, I really understand your explanation. So what do you think about education in Indonesia in the future?
For that, we all have still tried to comply with health protocols, because as we know that the government is still try to reduce the transmission rate of COVID-19 virus. And in future, as we can see, because the virus is spreading less, and there has been a direct order from the Ministry of Education that we must soon do a face-to-face schooling from elementary school to high school. And maybe in near future, we also make an announcement to conduct a face-to-face classes for university level.
Wow, it seems that if this news is true, there will be a lot of college students who are enthusiastic about the announcement. And I have also read about some of the problems that students face, and a lot of them problem about the many assignments that appear, and quite of a lot of those who complain and even feel pressured and depression because of this of the teacher gives so much assignment. Then how do you respond to this?
I'm sorry, can you repeat again? Because I don't know, it is my signal or your signal kind of bad.
I say there will be a lot of college students who are enthusiastic about the announcement, and a lot of them complain about the many assignments that appear, and quite a lot of them complain and even feel pressured and depressions because of this of the teacher gives so much assignment. Then how do you respond to this?
For that, as I discussed earlier, back to the teacher. The teacher must be able to adjust the existing of conduction. That we can do a monotone things like that. And you also said that there are students who get depressed because of many demands of assignment. Teacher must be able to know the mental state of their student, so that the teacher know when is the right time to give the assignment and when is not right time to give assignment, so that the implementation of online classes can run well without any bad things coming.
Really very useful information. Okay, sir. Thank you for being on this live with us. And thank you also for today's discussion about education in the pandemic era. I learned a lot of new things from what you said earlier, and I hope the audience gets a new understanding of education in this pandemic era. And once again, thank you, Sarah, for being willing to attend this live. Would you like to say a few words before I end this live Q&A session?
From me, maybe thank you for those who has come and watched this live, and we just pray and hope this pandemic ends quickly and all the activities can run normally again. And also, don't forget to always obey the health protocols. That's all maybe from me, Cinta. And also, thank you for inviting me to this live.
You are welcome. And in the end, I'm Cinta Laura and our guest star, Mr. Anis Baswedan. Thank you and goodbye.